Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sree's daily global COVID-19 show. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and it's my honor to convene this daily conversation around all things COVID-19. We talk about the health crisis, the financial crisis, and the inequality crisis. We're always looking for guests and theme suggestions. Please email me, sree@sree.net. This is episode 162. We've been live for 162 straight days, including weekends, holidays, all through the pandemic. And we have a very special episode for you tonight. Meet the Hidden Genius Project. The project trains and mentors Black male youth in technology creation, entrepreneurship, and leadership skills to transform their lives and communities. Please check out Hidden Genius Project and follow them on all the various platforms. We'll be meeting Brandon Nicholson, the founding executive director, Kayla Mason, LA site director, and Malik Poole, who is an alum of the project and a sophomore at Morehouse College. They'll be with us in just a few minutes. Hi, everybody. I'm Sree Sreenivasan. Thank you so much for being here. I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism and the co-founder of Digimentors, a social, digital, and virtual events consulting business. Our motto: don't cancel your event without talking to us. Don't even plan your virtual event without talking to us. My email address is right here. We've done events for 50 people and for 100,000 people. I'm sure your event is somewhere in between those two numbers. We'd love to help. We'd love to just chat with you. So please be in touch. We're so grateful to everyone who's here. We are live right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn at the moment. So tag your friends and family and colleagues. They can watch us now or later. And this is our show. In the first 150 episodes, we've had more than 1 million viewers, 105 million social impressions, 281 guests, 158 of them women, 57 cities, 16 countries are where guests have come from, including the chief scientist of the World Health Organization and the director of pandemics. We're always looking for guest ideas, so email us, sponsorship ideas, email us, sree@sree.net. We want to make sure you know that we're in partnership with scroll.in, one of India's leading news, culture, and information websites. They also have a brand new global footprint, scroll.in/global. Scroll Global, check them out. Our archives are youtube.com/Sreenet. We couldn't do this without you, and we couldn't do this without our awesome producers, Rose Horowitz at Rose Horowitz 31 and Vandana Menon. Follow both of them on Twitter, please, as they've worked for us every single day for the last 162 days. We're also able to do this because of our sponsors, and big thanks to Muckrack Academy for helping us put together Fundamentals of Social Media, a free certification course now available that you can take. More than 4,000 people have taken this course, and you get a free certificate at the end of it. You should try it out. You'll learn a lot, as did I, when you check out mrac.co/social, mrac.co/social. Promotional consideration also provided by
Hotstar Premiere Nights. Watch the year's biggest blockbusters streaming straight to your screen, exclusively on Hotstar.
A newly married couple's life is jeopardized in this new thriller, Khuda Hafiz, which started streaming already. Go to hotstar.com/US and use the code SREE2020 to get a less than $4 a month subscription. We're also grateful to nunbelievable.com, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. Each handcrafted cookie provides a meal to those in need. One cookie equals one meal. 20% off with the code Sree, Sree. Please check it out, and please support Nunbelievable and support us. All right, are you ready to meet the Hidden Genius Project? I know I am, and I'm just so delighted that they can spend time with us tonight. So let me bring on stage to meet with all of you the Hidden Genius Project. Brandon Nicholson's the founding executive director. Kayla Mason is the LA site director, and Malik Poole is an alum and a sophomore at Morehouse College. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to the Hidden Genius Project. Hi, folks.
Hi, how's it going?
So happy to have all of you here with us. There's Malik, who's the alum. There's Kayla, who's the LA site director. And there's Brandon, who is the founding executive director. I'm going to first ask the question I ask all our guests. First, tell us how you are, where you are, and how your family's been doing through this pandemic. Let's start with Malik.
Well, I'm in Antioch, California, Northern California. It's in the Bay, and we've been doing pretty good throughout the pandemic. Thankfully, my dad was able to keep his job and has been going back to work up at UC Berkeley, in a way that's safe and can continue, for us to be okay. So yeah, I'm doing all right.
Okay, good to hear that. Let's go to Kayla.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. Thank you for having us. I'm also doing okay. I've had a couple of family members that have been in and out of the hospital, but they are all still healthy, and appreciate you asking. I'm actually from LA area, born and raised. So I'm in the LA community.
Great to have you here. So we have North and Southern California represented. Let's go now to Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, good evening, and thank you again for having us here today. First of all, I just want to say, however I'm doing now, I'm doing much better than I was before, thanks to that Hot Star ad. I'm hoping we can run that one more time. That was awesome. I think I was off air at the time, but I was definitely getting my boogie on. No, feeling very fortunate to be here. Lots of impacted communities, be it friends or family or what have you. People have been either having to mitigate the circumstances because they're immunocompromised, and so that's just really impacting their lifestyle and livelihood, or neighbors and family and friends who've been who've contracted COVID-19. But for me, I'm just very fortunate to be healthy and happy and be at home with my family. We had a baby 4 months ago, right in the middle of COVID-19. And so that's been the great silver lining for sure. And my wife's doing a fantastic job there. And then finally, just understanding how so much of what's going on in the world runs together. I do feel fortunate and privileged just to be able to work every day and do work that I love and that actually helps create meaning as it pertains to what's going on in the world.
That is so amazing. I would ask you to come really up close so I can see if you're getting any sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm doing much better than my wife, and she's the boss. She's the chief nutritionist and executive chef for the baby right now. So she's pulling much tougher hours than I, but I'm doing my best to pitch in where I can.
Yeah, and that's so important, and so glad to hear it. Congratulations. Let's set this up by telling us about the Hidden Genius Project. We have people watching from around the world right now. Everybody, tell us where you're watching from. Tell us your questions for this team. But you can tell us, Brandon, a little bit about the project. I'll pull up the website also as you're speaking.
Thanks. I'd be remiss if I didn't allow Malik to give us the mission statement to get started, and then I can jump in from there.
Okay. Wow. That's
Of
cool.
Of course. The Hidden Genius Project trains and mentors Black male youth in technology creation, entrepreneurship, and leadership skills to transform their lives and communities.
Well done. Nice. Well, appreciate you. We are founded in 2012, founded in Oakland, California. Very proud to be operating programming sites out of Oakland, Richmond, California, as well as Los Angeles, California. in 2012, a couple buddies of mine who are all part of the same scholarship program, the Ron Brown Scholar Program, came out to Oakland to build a for-profit venture. And, they were really excited about building a mobile game to teach young people financial capability skills so they could understand how to manage their finances better. And as they were building that, though, they realized, they'd love to be able to pay it forward at the same time and help inspire young people in their communities to do what they were doing. And perhaps one day, not only be people they could hire, but probably most importantly, be people who could hire others in their communities to build, projects, products, platforms that the community cannot live without. The reason why I mentioned the scholarship program specifically is because that particular scholarship program focused on empowering young people of African descent to enter college and giving them, large sum of unrestricted dollars, wanted to build a lifelong network for social change under the mantra of the value of one, the power of all. And so I think we've very much built our program under that same mantra. And are very much proud of folks like Malik, who's part of our third ever cohort, our Oakland 3 cohort, and came into our program as the entering freshman in high school, participating in a 15-month immersion program whereby he would learn the fundamentals of computer science, business and entrepreneurship skills, and leadership skills focused on themes such as identity development, social and community justice. And we've since built a number of different programming verticals, and we serve young people really across backgrounds, literally across the world. We've been as far away as London and Johannesburg, South Africa. But we started with the cohorts, with the immersion program, with the program that of which Malik is currently an alum. And I'll just say, before we dig in much more deeply, that we were founded as a program truly meant to empower young people like Malik and inspire them first and foremost. So we were not created as a program to diversify Silicon Valley or Silicon Beach or, Manhattan or what have you. This was more about creating and uplifting the great, tech skills and resourcefulness already present in our community, already, shining in different ways in our day-to-day experiences, and then help our young people really have the access to networks and certainly some of the hard skills, but also just the resources, including themselves, including their peers, to be able to build on that.
That is amazing and so great to hear. Let's go to Kayla and ask her to explain how her work as LA site director, what does that entail? What does that entail? And what is your work like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am our Los Angeles site director. I am primarily responsible for the day-to-day operations of our program. We are new to LA community. We launched earlier this year with our inaugural cohort, and we have geniuses from all over Southern California. So shout out to everyone in the comments that's already, from South LA. My responsibility really is to think about long-term strategy. How do we engage the community on the local level, really create opportunities for us to have really a foundation to support not only young people in our current schools in our current communities, but across the Southern California region. And so if you are in that Long Beach, Hawthorne, San Fernando Valley communities, we're also interested in partnering there as well. And really our intensive immersion, as Brandon said, it's 15 months. And so for the next 2 summers, I'll be working with not only geniuses here in Southern California, but with the pandemic, I'll also have an opportunity to work virtually with our geniuses across our 3 site locations.
That is great to hear. I want to say to Brandon that I like the idea that you said this is not about diversifying Silicon Valley, which will happen if this works well, but that's not the primary goal, right? The primary goal is to give more options to the people within the community itself. So almost like diversifying the options for the community rather than for Silicon Valley or Silicon Beach, which is a term not everyone may be familiar with, but that's what they use in LA. Silicon Beach is one of those terms. So, and that's where we have, as we were putting the show together, you recommended bringing out one of your graduates, your alums. You said the Oakland 3 cohort, and that's Malik. And great to have you here. One of the things we're going to do is just very quickly see who's in the comments so that we can say hello to you. Jonathan Borstein is watching from East Village in New York. He has watched all 162 episodes. If that is, I mean, it's amazing. I've hosted all 162, but I don't think I've been awake for all 162, but he has. Any of you have a memory of New York you'd like to share?
I went up to the apartment. My sister lives in Queens. I went up to the apartment to go look at the skyline, and immediately upon exiting, tripped over a wire and fell. That's the immediate thing. Whenever I hear New York, I just think about the time that I like busted it on top of a roof.
But you're okay.
Oh yeah, I was okay, and it was a very nice view. So,
and it wasn't in front of everybody and not on camera, so that was okay.
It was in front of my sister, and I still haven't lived it down. But aside from that, no one saw.
Great. Let's Brandon, your New York memories.
I think the first time I ever went, I went straight into Manhattan and took the train from Philadelphia, so got out right in Midtown, right outside of Penn Station. So it was a little bit of a hustle and bustle for me. Grew up in Oakland, California, and love a slightly more steady and smooth change of pace. So Manhattan was a little fast paced for me, and so at that time, being entering my senior year in high school, I just assumed New York wasn't for me at all. But as I attended college in New Jersey, I got to get there a bunch, and then made a lot of friends from Brooklyn and Queens, and spent a lot of time in Harlem and the Bronx, etc. So really took to the city as a place to visit. I'm still a homeboy, so I'm here in Oakland, here in California for sure, but I'm always happy to visit.
Very cool. How about you, Kayla?
Yeah, the memory that comes to mind immediately is the L train. So I spent 2 years living in New York off of 125th and Powell in Harlem, Bushwick. Worked in Soho, so I feel like I got a good feel for the overall community. But eating food on the L train in the mornings was probably my highlight, and just my one space where I could have my headphones on and kind of just be in my own world. So shout out to Harlem, Bushwick, and the L train.
Nice. I like that. That is pretty cool. All right, let's see who else is here. Rajan says he'll have to watch the replay because he's watching the Democratic National Convention. One of the reasons we're half hour early is so that we can all watch Kamala Harris, senator from the great state of California, do her thing at around 10 o'clock. And President Obama will also be speaking tonight. Brian Schulman says, voice your vibe, Sree. And Rose Horowitz, one of our producers, is watching, and she's tweeting. Please follow her, Rose Horowitz 31. Everyone, please share this out. We really appreciate it. North Caldwell, New Jersey, in the house. And Aparna says, SoCal represent. She worked at the mayor's office in LA, so she knows the area very well. And now this is going to be fun. Apollo is watching from Vegas, born and raised in South LA. Thank you so much for the Hidden Genius Project. Only 3% of kids went to college from my neighborhood in Watts. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about Vegas for a second. Who here has a Vegas story they can repeat in public?
I'm out. Malik, I'm sure you went to Circus one time. Maybe was that?
I've been to Vegas. I think twice. Once I don't really remember because I was pretty little. The second time was for a conference with NSBE. It's another organization I was involved in from a younger age, the National Society of Black Engineers, and the fall regional conference was in Las Vegas one time, and I remember going there and doing some really cool workshops. And that was around the time in NSBE where I really figured out, that I wanted to get more into coding, and around the time I, heard about Hidden Genius, and so around then I was in Vegas, but just boring engineering stuff.
That's a great story.
Vegas the credit for that. What about you, Kayla?
Oh, Vegas had a lot of experiences. I actually went almost every summer, starting from 14 to 18. So I had family in Summerlin and learned the 3-hour trip. It's actually 4.5, but the way I drive, I'll get there in 3. And just really the summers catch up, turning into liquid in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, barbecues. We did a lot of stuff at the parks there, family reunions and stuff.
Yeah. So just so you know, we don't ask everybody. We wouldn't normally ask everyone to talk about their cities and memories, but part of the thing in the pandemic, as you know, is that we don't get to travel. So hearing these stories is one of the ways that we get to travel. And let's go back to Apollo's very important point that from his neighborhood in Watts in southern Los Angeles, only 3% of kids got to go to college. What is your message to folks who are watching now who don't understand this dynamic where college is not promised or even a possibility for so many people in this country? Brandon, you want to start?
Sure. I think ultimately, RTAC is attempting to provide access to college readiness first and foremost. Ultimately, there's been obviously any number of studies around the potential bump that a college degree could provide, with respect to lifetime earnings, et cetera. And yet we're now in a moment, particularly at this very moment, and as obviously we continue to talk about the context of COVID-19, we're at a moment where we're not sure what the data say, right, in terms of recent graduates and what's going to happen. But I can say our number one message, certainly to our geniuses, that I'm happy to share, pull the curtain back for everyone else, is that most of all, we want to make sure our young people have options. Make sure you're making a choice at all times, right? So if you believe college isn't for you, that shouldn't be because you've got like a 1.9 right now, and that's just your and that would be a grade point average on a 4-point scale. I recognize you've got an international audience who may be operating a different system, so you may be holding a 1.9 out of 4.0 grade point average or score, and you might say, hey, college probably isn't for me. There's a lot of confounding factors there. What we're trying to encourage everyone to do is be excellent, right? And do your best such that you can be ready and have access to make a potential decision about attending. Of course, the next piece is affordability is a huge thing in the United States, and particularly in California, wherein the cost of public education in California rivals the cost of some private institutions in many other states. As a result, then even being able to be admitted to a school, even choosing to want to go, doesn't mean that you actually can, right? Because of the affordability issues. And so we want folks to understand that there are multiple layers of factors that inform our young people's experiences after they finish high school. Job one is to finish high school, though, and then pursue your passion, pursue what you love. And if college is your dream, then let's work together to find opportunities and pull the levers that can get you there. The last piece I would just mention is, with all that in mind, what I hope the world understands, particularly if you're in the States, there's a certain understanding of what 2-year colleges are and what they represent with respect to preparing students to be excellent and preparing folks for work or to be great citizens. And what I would just say is, particularly in California, our 2-year institutions, otherwise known as community colleges here, are fantastic. They're tremendous. And they've become one of the most cost-effective options for young people to pursue higher education, particularly in their earlier years. And so it's important for people to know that, because oftentimes people are doing hiring or connecting people with potential opportunities, be they internships, networks, et cetera, and just spending a lot of time looking at kind of the name on the paper, so to speak. But there's so many different pathways that people are taking to try and navigate all the challenges I already mentioned. And so it's so important to just look at and solve for and try and really address the skills and the experiences we're looking for more specifically and more directly, and not be concerned about kind of the name tag or the cover of the book, as they say, right? And with Malik, he's going to one of the world's foremost institutions, and particularly one of the world's foremost historically Black colleges and universities, and Morehouse College. And we're proud of them, but we're just as proud of the young people pursuing any number of educational pathways.
And that's part of what everybody needs to understand. I'm just pulling up the mission here. The Hidden Genius Project trains and mentors Black male youth in technology creation, entrepreneurship, and leadership skills to transform their lives and communities. And our vision, Black male youth demand and are working towards a future where their genius is celebrated, realized, and shines every day, and is no longer hidden, suppressed, or belittled. And that is, I think, as clear a statement as you can get One question that will come from people who are watching who are not quite clear about the ways in which the dynamics of American communities work. Why have you chosen to work with just Black male youth as opposed to girls also?
That's, a question we get often. It's an important question and one I'm happy to contextualize. Let me start off first just by outlining who we are. Our primary program, the intensive immersion program, that's our 15-month component. That component is focused on Black male youth of high school age. So our very first program that we developed, I mentioned, 2012, this idea of paying it forward. We were a volunteer organization for the first 2.5 years. We had very little infrastructure. We had no staff, minimal budget. A lot of this was happening out of pocket, including the cost of food, the cost of computers, coming, directly from the volunteers. And so again, it's so important to understand the underlying premise for why we were doing it. We were really trying to inspire and empower young boys and young men who very much reflected the experiences of our founders, right? And understanding, how to really inspire and have these young men feel a sense of confidence and pride. One of the best ways I think I've learned to describe it is if you think about a class photo of a diverse group here in the States, or sometimes in other parts of the world, we actually see a very similar dynamic. We wanted to bring the young people who are typically in the back of that class photo and have them all be front and center, so to speak. And by that, we mean create a safe space for this particular population to be themselves, to be children, to be young, to be goofy, to make mistakes, to not be overly subjected or prone to discipline or disproportionate, response to things going on, and also to elevate their brilliance. But what's important is it's a targeted universalism approach. It's a term championed by John A. Powell. You could look it up in the Stanford Social Innovation Review, but it's a concept whereby you can focus on a specific group, Black male youth, for example, and ultimately have and bring about universal effects and universal benefits. So we have but so many resources. When we started, we had no resources other than what was in our pockets. So Black male youth was the group number one that we felt we could work with without, just having a negative influence, because at least if nothing else, we had shared experience. But number two, that we could focus on that group with that need to try and create greater benefit. Malik is an example of someone who's been a youth educator, meaning for the past few years, actually, he's been supporting and facilitating programming for other young people in our communities, and other young people in our communities, including girls and young women, including young people of Latinx descent, including young people, of Filipino descent, including left-handed, trans people, like whomever. At the end of the day, we believe that pouring so much energy into our young people in this intensive, that's why we created these other verticals, so we could really, lift all boats as we lift the tide where our young people are. The last piece I'll just mention is our underlying premise is not about, again, diversifying the Valley. And so a lot of times people ask this because they say, well, don't girls need to have jobs in Silicon Valley? Don't, Latinx communities and indigenous communities? And absolutely, yes. In fact, if anybody's running a company in the Valley or near it, or something that they would fashion as a tech company, go hire somebody who doesn't look like you tomorrow, please. That's just not our job, right? Our job is to prepare the young people in our communities, the young people in front of us, right? This isn't about getting somebody to the Valley. It's about creating a really empowering experience for the boys and young men we work with, who can then become leaders, change agents in their communities, and work alongside as allies, their sisters and others, and really help create change.
Thank you. Kayla, you must get this question also as you were setting up in LA when people were asking you, and especially as a woman yourself, how did you put that in context?
Yes, I think it's just very important to elevate not only how we approach supporting young Black men, but valuing them, valuing their assets and their abilities. I actually grew up with my father and brothers, so I was raised to recognize not only are there opportunities for all of us to learn and acknowledge and understand their genius, but play a part in a role and supporting them in that development. And so the Hidden Genius Project was a great fit for someone like me who is originally from South Central LA, and was very committed to seeing young Black men from my community thrive and have everything that they need to feel whole and complete. We have a saying at our organization that we really wrap our arms around our geniuses, and that's really important for me as a macro social worker to think about ways not only are we supporting them with the technology skill sets, but we're teaching them how to be entrepreneurs and founders of visions and dreams that they believe in. And last but not least, we're showing them how to transform their communities as leaders from their neighborhoods, exposing them to young people in their neighborhoods. And so a lot of that is really important when you talk about youth empowerment, and the Hidden Genius Project does that really well.
That is so cool to hear. Let's look at some of the comments coming in. Apollo says, great vision statement. It matters. Akeem says, rising tide. Jax says,
the plan.
sorry, go ahead, Akeem.
He's our program director.
Okay. he's got all the buzzwords down. Rising tide, catalyst. Thank you for being here, Akeem, and thank you for what you're doing as well. Jack says, college is not the only path. We've been indoctrinated to believe this. Way too many people of color going to death for worthless degrees, rendering them underemployed or unemployed. So that's something that obviously people are thinking about. Apollo says, Apollo says, young Black men are very much targeted by negative influences, and it's good to see the counter narratives presented. So thank you for doing that. Bossa Nova says, thank you, Hidden Genius, for unapologetically advocating and creating a safe space for our young Black boys to grow their inner genius. And Kayla Mason is amazing and an invaluable leader for our communities. Rose is tweeting as well. There are lots of comments coming in here. Jack says, bringing creative arts and technology together is a great way to engaging the interest of young people. Apollo says, pursue your passion and your dream. There are more options, paths besides college. And Jax says, this is an important question. Lack of technological competency will be one of the great wealth divisions in the world. Too many young people gravitate toward the arts, not a bad thing, but it's often at the expense of STEM competency. And we also have a note here from Aparna says, we used to be neighbors, used to be a homeowner in Harlem and lived off 122nd Street and Adam Clayton Powell, says Aparna. And Jonathan says the L train has to be one of the most interesting routes in the subway system. And Aparna says that she's in Thai town, grew up in the East Bay, so feeling very northern and southern California. Chris says, what an awesome project. It's a great idea to help people skill up and be more competitive in their careers. We're just so happy to have everybody here, and so many great comments coming in as well. Let's go to Malik. Tell us a little bit about your work, what you're studying now, and your path to getting into, as we heard, one of the best colleges.
So where should I start first? Well, first, my experience with Hidden Genius Project specifically was really what kind of clarified what path I wanted to go down in terms of career and in terms of what I want to study and what I'm currently majoring in. I'm a software engineering major. As I kind of mentioned earlier when I told that that Vegas story back when I was, I still am a member of NSBE, but back then I was still kind of figuring out where my lane was in engineering. And, through joining the Hidden Genius Project and actually learning more about tech specifically and about coding, software development, and technology creation in that sense, it kind of just clicked for me that this was something that I really found interesting and exciting and that I wanted to do. And I was also just really blown away and really taken, by the message of the Hidden Genius Project and trying to, uplift Black male youth such as myself to, do great things for the community, and also to sort of, bridge that digital divide that exists between, Silicon Valley, Silicon Beach, and the Black community. As far as getting into Morehouse, I remember I've always wanted to apply to Morehouse and go to some sort of HBCU. But I immediately think of hitting up Brandon for him to write me a recommendation letter, both for Morehouse and for some of my scholarships. Something I still do nowadays from time to time when I'm applying for something. And I gotta say, just right off the bat, Brandon writes the best recommendation letters. I'm like halfway sure that his advocacy is part of what got me into Morehouse. But it's been a really interesting experience. Got kind of cut short because of COVID, and now I'm at home online learning. But yeah, definitely my experience with Hidden Genius Project and Morehouse, at least in my mind, go hand in hand, especially because Morehouse specifically is for Black men. And so, transitioning from being in high school in a program that was, about my development and about me learning how to, get into technology and just mature as a person, and then transitioning into an institution like Morehouse that's historically launched, young Black men into great careers and positions of power. And, it just felt like the natural transition to make, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Before we go on to the next part, we're looking at all these pictures behind you. Why don't you just turn around and tell us what we're looking at?
Okay, so over here, this Obama right here is from this is from the African American Museum when I was actually on my HBCU tour with a local program called Parents Connected. They do HBCU tours sometimes and take all the Black high school kids in the area and take us to go see them. And so I got that while I was in Washington. This is some art I made. It's actually a dedication piece. That's a collage of a bunch of art and some pictures of my late art professor who unfortunately passed away at the beginning of summer. And so that's kind of like my memorialization of him. This is kind of a political satire poster. It has a picture of Nixon, Reagan, and Clinton, and the title just says "War on Drugs." And then this is Malcolm X.
And what about the T-shirt you're wearing?
Oh, I didn't notice, but I am also wearing an old 08 campaign shirt that I found at a thrift store.
Yeah, is that the Hope one, right?
I think this one says change.
Change. Yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, we remember that moment, hope and change. And here we are. We're going to be hearing him in about 45 minutes or so. He'll be speaking. We'll be done long before that. And let's go to Kayla and ask her about what it's like to go into a community where the organization hasn't existed. There are lots of nonprofits trying to do so many good things in communities like that. How do you break through? How do you get people to trust you? How do you get people to know that this is the right choice for them to support?
Yes, great question. I would say I have a more unique experience because I started as a grassroots community organizer in high school. So around Malik's, when he started at the Hidden Genius Project, and I spent a lot of time asking the right questions, creating space for those that are from those neighborhoods to really share with me what their vision was. And so pretty much that was the career trajectory for me to continue, whether I was in Detroit or I was doing work in New York or Newark, New Jersey, now back home in LA. It's important to me. It's important for me to listen to and assess where the community is. In South LA specifically, we have a lot of amazing organizations, faith-based groups, community stakeholders, school leaders who are all invested in a unified vision, which is to support and uplift young people here. And so it was very aligned with the Hidden Genius Project, and really, I would say, an easy transition. The staff at Hidden Genius Project from the Bay spent the last 3 years, really building community and kind of cultivating that energy that is the Hidden Genius Project. And so prior to me coming here, it was, we also, in addition to our intensive immersion, we have Catalyst and Tech Slams where we will go into a community and work with the community to help facilitate tech exposure opportunities. And we did a lot of that here in LA. So I feel like I'm always thinking about kind of what is the empowerment portion of our work. How do we uplift the community that we are going in, and then identify ways to build partnerships? And we did that even before me coming this year. We did that. So I have to shout out the Hidden Genius Project team and the Bay who helped facilitate that easy process for me.
And here we're seeing the different parts of where you can apply, you can volunteer, you can partner, you can invest. And let's talk about invest. And I guess that's the fundraising part, right, Brandon? Talk about that. People watching right now, what can they do? What kind of companies have been able to help you? Talk about that, please.
Sure. Well, fundamentally, we exist to try and empower as many young people as possible in as many places as possible, as effectively as possible. And so certainly to do that, it requires a number of resources, a really dedicated team and staff. When we're talking about the context of COVID-19 and the fact that we were able to actually, from March 16th of 2020, which was the day that the shelter in place went into effect in California, in our counties, through the end of this summer. So from March 16th through the end of this summer, the Hidden Genius Project did not miss a single programming day. Certainly we had to shift. That meant we had to stop, operating in person. We did make a pivot, certainly to platforms such as Zoom and Slack and Google Classroom. But the constant there was, one, the need that our young people have and the potential they have that we want to make sure we nurture. Two, a tremendous staff that was committed to making sure that young people who might not get the most equitable and quality educational opportunities virtually and during shelter in place in their schools, making sure that they'd have quality opportunities, certainly with us. And so we didn't want to go away there. And so, that led to us continuing to program every day and trying to make pivots, be that, subscriptions to software, making sure young people had, computers earlier on, supporting families with groceries, et cetera. At the end of the day, again, all of those things take resources. But why do I mention that and not just make a plea for money? Because you've got to believe that if you're supporting, be it via money, be it connecting us with your networks, via, giving your time or whatever it is, you've got to believe that that's going to make an impact. And what we're telling you is that we had, not only do we have 100% of our young people graduate high school from who are of age for the class of 2020 in that intensive and across intensive cohorts. We even had one of our young men who had previously dropped out finish high school that year. So that was a banner year. That's 100% plus for us. And then we also graduated our first ever four-year college graduate. And again, certainly echoing Apollo's point, certainly college is not everything for everyone, but if you're going to go and you're going to pay for it, you might well want to finish. So we're very proud of that genius, David Armstrong, for our first ever cohort who was able to do that. All the work that goes into doing that every day takes every bit of energy we have, every bit of, again, resource and all our ingenuity and creativity. What we'd like to do is do more of it here in the Bay Area, do more of it here in Los Angeles, do more of it here in the States, and also here in the world. And so we believe that each additional resource we receive, be it $1, a connection, an introduction, a volunteer hour, what have you, each additional resource is only helping us get there faster. Again, more young people in more places, more effectively. So what I can say is that there are so many ways to support us. Number one, just spread the word, because you never know. And, we'd like to get to more communities, certainly within California, and then also outside of California. So when you look at areas like Atlanta and Detroit and Baltimore, we've been trying to build networks and have conversations there. As I mentioned, we've been able to do programming in London, England, and we're piloting a partnership there with some of the curriculum work we're doing before the end of this year. And of course, South Africa, where we have some great partners, Leap Schools, among others, that have been, really working with us and helping us connect with their young people. And so you can imagine, given even more staff, given an even more dedicated team. We've had team members who've been with us since we started having a staff, over 5.5 years ago, and have been with us every step of the way. And we don't lose a lot of folks because we love this work and it matters to us. And we know there's a lot more people to whom it matters out there. And so we'd love to bring them on and do even more work, and we could use the resources to do so. In terms of collaborating, say, with people in companies and what have you, honestly, it runs the gamut because everybody that we're working with has a need, and everybody has a disparate and broad set of passions. You see Malik, he's at Morehouse College. He is studying, technological and STEAM related field. I say STEAM because Malik is an artist, and art's very much part of what he does, including graphic design. He showed you his own homage to his late teacher. And, we want to be able to, again, do more of that. And so we need to be able to connect with folks who have great networks and resources in the art space, in the intersection of technology and art. The most concise advice I can give around how we partner is identify your superpower. What are you great at? And then be really self-aware about maybe what you're not as great at. And so, if you've got great connections to the art space, but you hate teenagers, maybe, direct mentorship isn't your jam, right? But you might be able to make a hell of a phone call on behalf of someone like Malik or his, brothers coming up behind him that could help them access a life-changing opportunity. Of course, what we're trying to do right now is also build the infrastructure that allows us to, funnel all this information. We're getting a bit of information overload as people reach out, but that's a really great problem to have, and we want it to keep coming. And we're working on making sure we can be responsive in that regard.
We've given out people your Twitter handle. What's the other way that people can reach the organization?
Definitely check out our website. Certainly, hiddengeniusproject.org. Our Twitter handle is the same as our Instagram handle at Hidden Genius Pro. We're very active on Facebook. We love moms and dads and uncles and aunties on Facebook. Shout out to the aunties and uncles. Not doing a whole lot of TikTok right now, but we're doing our best. We got self-awareness, self-knowledge is key. We'll leave the TikToking to Malik for sure. But definitely check out the channels we have. Sign up for our newsletter on our website. We promise to hit you monthly. You can also join us September 24th at our first ever virtual end of summer celebration to celebrate our young people like Malik. And I do need to make a point, Sree, about that. In the COVID-19 context, the only way we were really able to make our summer programming happen, in addition to the factors I mentioned, because I mentioned our team, and of course that entails our staff, but the wild cards, the real key to the game was our alumni youth educators. So we had alumni of previous cohorts who came on right away. We were able to effectively hire and deploy immediately to help create smaller learning environments. So the key to us making the virtual component work was not going to be to try and make it as though we were doing the classroom and replicating that, but try and create a more engaging, more intimate environment whereby we could pay more attention to our young people day to day and try and address their needs more quickly. And so young folks like Malik and his brothers from other cohorts of kind of alumni cohorts were deployed, and they actually were with us every single day, teaching our current and active cohorts, including our guys from Los Angeles and Richmond and Oakland and everywhere in between, teaching them these core concepts. So when we have that celebration, which you can learn more about on our website on September 24th, we'll be celebrating those young people who are alumni as well, who really laid it down for us and were critical in us being able to sustain our work.
Well, I'm hoping I'm now on your mailing list and you will call on us to help you in any way we can. A question, there's a lot of talk about California. Have you been asked to open satellite offices the way you did in LA, in New York, or other cities? You said Detroit, Washington, Chicago.
Absolutely. So you named a number of them. And, certainly when I first took on this role, just off the top of my head, in a plane flight home, I just tried to write down as many of the cities as I could come up with that made sense. And we got up to 68, and so there's at least 68 places we got to get to in the next however many years. But, we're very excited. Our plan is, taking one step at a time, build the strongest infrastructure and foundation possible, be sustainable, but also be creative and innovative. And we're really excited to be actually launching a platform in partnership with an edtech startup called Central Inventions that'll actually allow us to deploy some of our culturally relevant and culturally responsive curricula in partnership with organizations around the world. And so our first two partnerships will be, it looks like, with the Youth Center in London, England, and with the middle school in Boston, Massachusetts. And so we think that'll be a great way to help us expand our reach. And we certainly hope that outside opens back up, as we say out here, that quarantine ends and we can travel again and do some of the activations that Kayla mentioned in some of these other cities where there's interest, because ultimately what we want to do is just help empower and uplift people wherever they are. And the thing that's most important therein is that we want to partner with organizations on the ground in these communities doing the great work. So we don't see ourselves as saviors swooping in to uplift the masses. We really believe that we have an approach that centers on collaboration on the assets already in a community, and we hope to do it in as many communities as possible. And certainly if folks want to tell a friend and support us, then that'll help us do it even more quickly.
We appreciate that. Apollo says teaching them to be founders and entrepreneurs is awesome, because that's totally about income and wealth generation. And that was Apollo's comment. We also have a comment here. Hidden Genius is so necessary, and lots of other comments coming in. Vandana has linked to the website, so everybody check it out. And we have a comment here. All the best to the Hidden Genius Project. Great job in empowering the Black youth. And our friend Stefan is tagging a whole bunch of people. Everybody, please do that right now. Someone who would be uplifted by meeting these folks as they're doing such important work for all of us. We just have a couple of minutes left. I want to ask each of them to give us a kind of final thought, a wrap up, and leave us with some thoughts on where we all go from here. I will ask, when it comes to Brandon, I'll ask him, if it hadn't been called Hidden Genius Project, or some of those other names, along with the 68 cities he wrote down, I'm sure he wrote down a bunch of other names and concepts, so we'll come back to him for that. Let's start with Malik Poole, our graduate of Hidden Genius Project. He's a sophomore. I guess you're just starting your second year at Morehouse College.
It's actually my first day.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sparing it for us. And you're out in California, and then I guess when things are back, you'll be on campus in Atlanta. So go ahead, Malik, please tell us your thoughts.
Sorry, it lagged a little bit. What was the question?
No,
or was just giving closing thoughts? Okay.
Yeah, your closing thoughts.
Well, first off, everyone needs to go down to hiddengenius.org and find out how they can, help us out and try to help us empower Black youth. I certainly want to thank you, Sree, for having us on here on this really well put together and amazing, streaming experience. It's just an honor to honestly be here and talk about my experience and how I was uplifted by Hidden Genius, but also how I was encouraged to lift up others by Hidden Genius. And I'd say for my final thoughts, that would be the main takeaway is that I feel like everyone has a duty to uplift themselves, but also to pay it forward, to turn around, to give back, and to uplift the community around you as well. So I would just encourage everyone to try and live by that example and lift up everyone around them as well.
That is terrific. Thank you for saying that. And there's the address again, hiddengeniusproject.org. And Malik, I want to apologize. I kept calling you Malik. There's an Indian name that's spelled the same way. So
no, I've ran into this before. Yeah.
So Malik.
At least you didn't say Malik. I can't stand when people say Malik. At least you said it. Yeah, you were close.
I was close. We'll take that. Thank you. Let's go to Kayla. Kayla, your final thoughts. Kayla is the site director for Los Angeles for Hidden Genius Project.
Yes, thank you for having me, for having us. As I mentioned before, I am really invested in building partnerships and creating space for us to work together collaboratively. So if you are interested, right, we talk a lot about these issues. It's important to get involved and really not just make your voice heard, but actually help us support our geniuses. So you can reach me, Kayla, at hiddengeniusproject.org, or you can also come to our 9th annual end of summer celebration. It's at hiddengeniusproject.org/celebrate.
and it's on the front page. We also want to thank Denzel Russell, who is your comms director, right? Who has been very helpful as well in pulling all this together. And after this, we're going to have Brandon share his thoughts, and then we'll let them go, and then I will tell you about our terrific shows that are coming up in the next couple of days, including our attempt to understand what's going on with the post office. Saturday is kind of hashtag save the post office, so we're going to talk about that. But let's go now to Brandon Nicholson, the founding executive director of Hidden Genius Project.
Thank you, Sree. Appreciate it. And again, thank you for allowing the Hidden Genius Project to be here today and tell our story. Shout out to the post office for sure. I got to go today to drop off Hidden Genius stipend checks, and it was actually air conditioned there. So pro tip, folks, find yourself something to buy from the post office this week. Save the post office and get some free air conditioning. Just saying. What I also want to mention, I'm very much proud of the work we do. I'm proud of Malik. I wrote him a nice letter of recommendation. Definitely told the truth. I couldn't risk the reputational hit if I didn't. But just understand for folks, this isn't about how proud I am of Malik. And this certainly isn't about me liking Malik, because that's touch and go. Whether we like Malik or not, we love Malik and all our geniuses. And that's what we're here to do every day is provide that love and support, but also again recognize their immense potential. If there's anything I can convey in this last word, it's just that we're not creating an opportunity for young people to have handouts or what have you. And even then, many of them deserve them. They've been through a lot. Their communities have been through a lot. But really what we are here to do is to equip these young people with what they need to demonstrate what's already within. And so we never look at them as charity cases, never look at them as even at risk. They're at opportunity. They've got nothing but great things ahead of them. They just need some opportunities in front of them and some access to some pathways that can get them there. And so we don't have to like them. We just have to give them some support and some resources, and then just keep showing them that love and then watch them do what they do. So I love you, Malik. The check will be in the mail someday, I'm sure, for that letter of rec. But for now, just go handle your business. So thank you, Sree. We appreciate you.
And we appreciate you. And I love that idea, not just talking about at risk, but at opportunity. And we know that Malik's going to be a big success, and he's going to write a big, one of those tennis tournament checks. He's going to bring that, a big check. He's going to bring that.
We got a check already drawn up for you. It's
good. Thank you, Sree, for exposing this great project. Jonathan says, wonderful program. Thank you. Apollo is tagging his friends. Everybody, just take 30 seconds, tag a friend so that they can join us and watch this recording. It'll run on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn right now as soon as we're off the air. But I'm going to let these people get some dinner and all the other stuff that they're going to do, because it's only 6:30 out there. Here it's 9:30, means almost Kamala and Joe and Barack time out here. And we are very excited to see the DNC. And so I'm keeping my eye on the television there as I'm talking to you here as well. So thank you very much. I'll say goodbye to Malik. Thank you. And to and also to Kayla. Thank you very much, Kayla. Bye-bye. And to Brandon, thank you so much. What a great trio to join us. We're so grateful to them. We'll also be doing now what Professor Kimberly Crenshaw asked us to do, say their names and say her name. We're going to do that in just a minute. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. We're looking for these wonderful nonprofits to showcase and talk about on this show. We're looking to bring folks who don't get a chance to be on kind of this international stage, which we're very proud of giving people a chance. So please talk to us and send me ideas. We'd love to hear from you. Sree@sree.net is my email address. And let's tell you what's coming up this week. We've got so much going on. I want to tell you that tomorrow at noon Eastern time is Trump versus U.S. intelligence agencies. Robert Draper will be here. He wrote the New York Times Magazine cover story, Unwanted Truths Inside Trump's Battles versus the U.S. Intelligence Agency. So please join us at noon Eastern time tomorrow, episode 163. Again, all the archives are at youtube.com/SreeNet. You can catch all of that. We also have a terrific event on Saturday about saving the post office. We have, these are two of the folks we booked, but more people. Richard John is one of the leading historians of the post office. He'll be with us. Manisha Sinha is a professor at the University of Connecticut who'll be with us. She told us that during the people who are now upset at the mail and don't want the mail to go out, did you know that that abolitionists got in trouble during the Civil War and the run-up to the Civil War, where slavers in the South would go in and burn in the post office, take out and burn abolitionist literature? That's how sacred the fight is for the post office, because so much good happens in the mail and we need to support them. And so that show is at 9 a.m. Eastern this Saturday. On Friday night, we're going to talk about schools and the reopening of schools. All our shows are archived, as we said, on youtube.com/SreeNet. This is how we started our Sunday Positivity with Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, where we're so grateful to have him with us. That was the show on Sunday. You can go back and take a look on Monday. That was on Sunday. On Monday, we met Vanessa Zami to talk about side hustles. She's the Side Hustlers coach. And then yesterday we met with the folks at Gender Avenger to talk about women and uplifting women and making sure they're represented every single part of the public dialogue. And with that, I'm going to now say their names. This is, I asked Kimberly Crenshaw, how can we be allies of the Black community? She said, say their names. So that's what we're going to do. This is a cover of Time magazine of a young mother with her child taken away. You see the blue glove from the pandemic. This is Titus Caffer's cover. And on the right is a young Larcenia Floyd, the mother of a young George Floyd, as you see him there. And she would die 2 years to the day almost that he would be killed in Minneapolis. They're both now buried together in Houston. And now we'll say their names. These are the names that were on the Time magazine cover. The names are Trayvon Martin, Yvette Smith, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Laquan McDonald, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Jerame Reed, Natasha McKenna, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, William Chapman, Sandra Bland, Darius Stewart, Samuel Dubose, Janet Wilson, Kaylin Rockmore, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Joseph Mann, Terrence Crutcher. I'm going to pause there. As you hear these names, you know many of these names, but some you've never heard before. They all have stories. They're all worth remembering. Aaron Bailey, Stefan Clark, Danny Ray Thomas, Antoine Rose, Botham Jean, Tatiana Jefferson, Michael Dean, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. Those are not all the names. Those are not even the names that have happened since George Floyd was killed. And so we say those names on every episode, and we do that because we were told that is one way that we can be allies. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting us, for being here, for telling your friends about the show. Let's thank our sponsors, Muckrack Academy, as well as thank our friends at nunbelievable.com, the delicious, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. And we also want to thank our friends at Hotstar. They are a streaming service here in the US, hotstar.com/US, and use the code SREE2020 for less than $3.75 subscription month to the latest Indian films, all subtitled, of course. And then we want to tell you about one of the other shows we produce every single Sunday.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sujana Chandrasekhar. I'm an ear, nose, and throat surgeon in New York City and New Jersey.
And I'm Dr. Marina Kurian. I'm a general surgeon in New York City area.
We'd like to introduce you to our new show, She's on Call. We air live on social media platforms from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday Eastern Time. We discuss the medical topics of the week.
We have two great guests, experts in their field, that help us analyze and look at some of the topical issues of healthcare. And we are on 11 to 12, so please join us.
We love to answer your questions, so please share and watch and send us your questions and comments.
See you Sundays at 11.
And that's our show, folks. Thank you so much. Please email me, Sree@Sree.net. Follow me on Twitter @Sree. And please check out our archives. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/SreeNet.